Peloton Bike versus Peloton Bike Plus. In today's video, we're going to be comparing the original $1,495 Peloton Bike head-to-head against the $2,495 Peloton Bike Plus. I do have chapters below this video, so you can skip around to the information that's relevant to you. We'll kick this review off with the major differences between these two bikes, and then I'll break it down to the minor details so you can decide which bike is for you. And make sure you stay till the end of the video because I have some important questions to ask you about which bike is right for you. Regardless of whether you choose the Peloton Bike Plus or the original Peloton bike, you have to have the Peloton All Access membership, which costs $39 per month to use either of these bikes. From a distance, the first difference you may notice between the original Peloton bike and the Peloton Bike Plus is the lettering on the frame. And aside from that minor detail, one of the first major differences between these two bikes is on the Peloton Bike Plus you get this 24-inch 1080p rotating touchscreen. And while the screen on the Peloton Bike Plus does rotate 360 degrees, you actually have to stop it halfway and turn it around the other way to prevent the cord from tangling. Over here on the original Peloton bike, you get a 22-inch touchscreen that does not rotate side to side. This tablet does have the ability to rotate up and down a little bit, but not side to side. So if you intend on doing off-bike workouts on a Peloton bike, not only is the screen 2-inch bigger on the Peloton Bike Plus, you can also rotate it so you can do off-bike workouts facing basically any direction you want to. Both the Peloton Bike Plus and the original Peloton bike both have the exact same flywheel and drivetrain. They both are belt-driven magnetic resistance bikes. The original Peloton bike has a red resistance knob that allows you to manually adjust your resistance from 0 all the way to 100, while the Peloton Bike Plus also has a red resistance knob that also allows you to adjust your resistance from 0 to 100. But the way these resistance knobs works is significantly different. The Peloton Bike Plus has digital magnetic resistance that is controlled by a motor, while the standard Peloton bike has a mechanically operated magnetic resistance knob. And the major advantage of the digital magnetic resistance is the Peloton Bike Plus has automatic adjusting resistance. And what this means for you is in a Peloton class, you can actually turn on automatic adjusting resistance in the class. As an example of what I mean here, if you toggle this switch on and off here, you can turn on and off the automatic adjusting resistance. When you turn the automatic resistance on, it'll show you this little countdown timer here going around this circle, and as it reaches 100% completion here, it will move the resistance to the next range. By default, you're set in the middle of the range, so right now the suggested range is basically 31 to 45. It sets you right in the middle. But what you can do here is use the resistance knob, which I'm adjusting right here, and you can move it to the lower end of the range or the upper end of the range. And for example, if we bump it all the way to the top end of the range, as this timer begins to reach closer to its completion point and is about to bump us up to the next suggested range, and I'm at the top end here, 45, and it'll keep me at the top of the next resistance range. So when that interval completed, it bumped me from resistance 45 up to 55 without any input from me. And of course, you can do the same thing with the middle of the range or the lower range. As you can see here, I'm in the middle. The next range is pulling up. It automatically adjusted to fall right in the middle. On the original Peloton bike, this is not an option. It simply does not have the hardware on the original Peloton bike to allow you to automatically adjust resistances in classes. So in my opinion, the larger rotating touchscreen and also the digital automatic adjusting resistance on the Peloton Bike Plus are by far the two most significant features over the original Peloton bike. The original Peloton bike has two 10-watt speakers facing away from the bike. And while those speakers are sufficient for hearing the instructor and the music, the sound system on the Peloton Bike Plus simply blows away the sound from the original Peloton bike, because not only does it have this speaker facing towards you in the front, it also has speakers on the back, including a subwoofer. And the sound system between these two bikes is truly night and day. But if you want to use headphones, the Peloton Bike Plus has a 3.5mm audio jack right here by the handlebars, and the original Peloton bike also has a 3.5mm headphone jack right here on the right. Additionally, each of these bikes has a Bluetooth audio connection, so you can hook up your own earbuds or connect an external audio source. The next significant difference between the Peloton Bike Plus and the original Peloton bike is the Peloton Bike Plus has Apple Watch GymKit. And after you go through the settings and configure everything as needed, it will connect right up. And from here, you can start your workout and the two sync right up. And here you can see my heart rate is displayed right here on the Apple Watch, as well as the heart rate is displayed right here on the corner of the screen. So you can use your Apple Watch as your heart rate monitor on the Peloton Bike Plus, and also that data will sync up with your Apple Health. This way you can track your calories and close your rings on your Apple device with your workouts on your Peloton Bike Plus. And at the time of this recording, the original Peloton Bike does not support this feature. The handlebars on the Peloton Bike Plus look like this. You get a nice grip down here, a good position 2 here, and a nice position 3 grip out here, and you get this kind of shape on the handlebars. On the original Peloton Bike Plus, you get handlebars that look like this. They are pretty similar, but not exactly the same. You get a nice grip here. You don't have quite as much room on the side here to fit your hand in position 2. You get a nice beefy grip out here in position 3, and the center bar here is a little bit different. The handlebars on both of these bikes are excellent to grab onto and grip and ride. Another thing that both of these bikes have in common is the handlebars do not move forwards and backwards. So on the Peloton Bike Plus and also the original Peloton Bike, you do not get the ability to move those forwards and backwards. So each of these bikes are 3-way adjustable bikes, meaning the handlebars go up and down, saddle goes up and down, and the saddle goes forwards and backwards, and you do get micro adjustments for all of those adjustment points on each of these bikes. On the Peloton Bike Plus, your adjustments for the handlebars look like this for the range, and the saddle gives you numbers and you get micro adjustments with no hole to click into here either. Additionally, the seat can move forwards and backwards. And on the standard Peloton bike, you get basically the exact same adjustments on the handlebars as well as the seat. Of course, you can move the saddle forwards and backwards as well. The Peloton Bike Plus has dual weight holders mounted behind the saddle, exactly the same way as the original Peloton bike does. And there are dual water bottle holders on the front of the Peloton bike, as well as the Peloton Bike Plus. The adjustment knobs on the Peloton Bike Plus are a soft touch rubber material that are really nice on the fingers to adjust. And you get the same exact adjustment knob for the handlebars on the front of the Peloton Bike Plus. The standard Peloton bike comes with these adjustment levers that work perfectly fine. They're just not quite as nice to the touch as the Peloton Bike Plus. But the adjustment knobs on each of these bikes is perfectly sufficient. According to the Peloton website, each of these bikes can accommodate a rider from 4'11" up to 6'4". However, I am 6'5" and I can easily fit on both of these bikes. So to me, it feels like their maximum height for these bikes is listed a little bit on the conservative side. Additionally, the maximum weight for each of these bikes is listed at 297 pounds. Both of these steel frame bikes feel very robust and very sturdy to ride. And speaking of size, both of these bikes are rather hefty machines. The Peloton Bike Plus is listed at 140 pounds and the standard Peloton bike is almost the same at 135 pounds. Another minor difference in the physical appearance is the plastic material used on the Peloton Bike Plus. It's more of a smoked out gray looking material compared to the plastic material used on the original Peloton bike is not quite as pretty. So the flywheel on the original Peloton bike and the Peloton Bike Plus are exactly the same. And when it comes to riding the Peloton Bike Plus compared to the original Peloton bike, to me, they basically feel exactly the same to ride. Considering the drivetrain and the frame on each of these bikes is exactly the same, pretty much the only difference is that digital magnetic resistance compared to the physical magnetic resistance on the original Peloton bike. But the crank arm length is listed at 170 millimeters for each of these bikes, and they feel basically identical. Everything from the minimum resistance all the way to cranking the resistance up to the maximum resistance of 100 feels the same. Both the Peloton Bike Plus and the original Peloton bike give you all the important metrics such as cadence, your power output, your resistance number here from 0 to 100, and your heart rate data as well. So there really is nothing more you can really ask for in terms of getting your metrics on either of these machines. The Peloton All Access membership gives you access to all the same exact classes and scenic rides on each of these bikes. So should you get the Peloton Bike Plus or the original Peloton? That is a question that only you can answer. Are you okay with a 22-inch screen that does not rotate side to side? Or would you prefer to have a screen that's 2 inches larger and rotate side to side? Are you going to be doing off-bike workouts as well as on-bike workouts? Do you care about the automatic adjusting resistance on the Peloton Bike Plus? Or is the manual adjusting resistance on the standard Peloton bike sufficient for you? Do you care about the beefed up audio system on the Peloton Bike Plus with the forward-facing speakers? Or will the reverse-mounted speakers on the standard Peloton bike be sufficient? Or do you plan on using headphones and bringing your own earbuds anyway? Do you care about the Apple GymKit on the Peloton Bike Plus? Does the aesthetic difference between the Peloton Bike Plus and the original Peloton bike make a difference to you? Do you care about the upgraded adjustment knobs? Or will the original adjustment knobs work for you? These are questions you can only answer for yourself. But don't forget, these are not your only two options when it comes to indoor cycling bikes. I have many more indoor cycling bike reviews on my channel at a variety of price points. So if you're looking for a bike in a different budget, you might be able to find something else on my channel. So if this video has been helpful to you, please give me a thumbs up. Any questions or comments, please leave down below the video. Don't forget to browse my channel for other bike reviews. Click subscribe, turn on notifications, and I'll see you in my next video.